One of the things we always have to do with investing is understand how a company actually makes money. And it's not always in the way that you think. And one of the companies that makes money in a very different way than a lot of people probably think is Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola actually doesn't sell you most of the beverages that you buy that say Coca-Cola on them. In fact, it's bottlers that sell those products or distribution partners. Coca-Cola's main business is selling syrup and concentrates. So I want to get into the numbers and talk about a few of the partners and the way this relationship works, because this is not unusual in the food and beverage industry. In fact, it's very common. It allows companies to get a lot of scale, to reach a lot of customers without having to have huge sales forces themselves. So it makes sense, but it may make you look at Coca-Cola a little bit differently. My name is Travis Hoium. Thanks for watching Asymmetric Investing. Please subscribe here on YouTube for all my content. And thanks to this video sponsor, The Motley Fool. You can go to fool.com/ASYM to get their top 10 stocks to buy right now. And I want to go direct to the source and show you exactly what Coca-Cola says about itself and how much money it makes from syrups and concentrates. This is from the most recent quarterly filing from Coca-Cola, and I highlighted I think the most important part here. The company sells concentrates and syrups to both consolidated and unconsolidated bottling partners. A consolidated bottling partner would basically be a bottler that Coca-Cola owns. Over the course of time, Coca-Cola has acquired and then divested from its bottling partners over and over again. Right now, they don't own most of those bottling partners in the US. And so I'll get to the numbers behind that and go through a little bit of that history. But that's what they mean when they're saying both consolidated and unconsolidated bottling partners. And then depending on when product actually goes to the end customer, that's when Coca-Cola is able to recognize revenue. Let's go to some of the numbers to put this into context of the size of the business. I'm going to start here with the income statement because this shows exactly what the last 3 months looked like at Coca-Cola. You can see just about $12 billion in total operating revenue. Keep that number in mind because now we're going to go down to what constitutes that revenue. Where does that come from? This is the breakdown of operating revenue, and the section to focus on is this top section here. Here's that $11.953 billion number, and this is broken down into basically 4 segments. Concentration, which is the white line, finished product operations, that's going to be the bottling services, and then the United States and international. So a couple of things to notice. One is that $7.2 billion of revenue in the most recent quarter came from concentrate, from selling syrups, not from actually bottling beverages and getting it into customers' hands, but actually getting a concentrate into the hands of a bottling partner. The finished product operations was just $4.7 billion. Coca-Cola operates very differently around the world. In the US, they own a fair amount of their finished product operations. $2 billion is what they generated in revenue there compared to $2.4 billion in revenue from concentrates. But internationally, there's much more focus on leaning on those bottling partners. $4.8 billion in revenue from concentrates to $2.7 billion in finished product operations. So you can see that a majority of the business for Coca-Cola is really just selling concentrates. Before getting into a little bit more about what Coca-Cola's business is and what their role is in this business, I want to show just a few of the bottling partners. This is one of their bottling partners, Liberty Coca-Cola Beverages. You can see that it really brands itself as a Coca-Cola company, but it is not owned by Coca-Cola. This is one of the partners that Coca-Cola spun some of their bottling and distribution business off to. And here's what they do. They produce products, they sell it, and they distribute it. I'll outline that a little bit more in just a second. And then here is the products that they're going to be distributing. Coca-Cola and a lot of Coca-Cola brands as well. So not just Coca-Cola, but all of their suite of products. Coca-Cola United is another one of the partners, very similar operations. You can see they're delivering in Coca-Cola delivery trucks. Really looks like a Coca-Cola operation, but they're just a bottling and distribution partner. Thanks to our friends at The Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/ASYM for the top 10 stocks to buy right now. So if Coca-Cola isn't actually selling products into the stores that are getting them into customers' hands, what is their role? And what Coca-Cola does is it builds the brand, it develops the formulas or the concentrates. That's something that they've kept proprietary with Coca-Cola specifically. That's why they're selling syrups a lot of times and not just recipes to their distribution partners. There are other companies that are actually just allowing their distribution partners or co-packaging companies to do all of that work for them. And they're just really a branding and marketing company. But that's really where Coca-Cola focuses, is in that branding and marketing. And over time, the bottling business has gone kind of in and out of the Coca-Cola umbrella. In 2017, they announced that they were going to re-franchise a lot of their North American bottling operations. They owned about 90% of that at that time. And so they sold some of that off to other bottling partners. And they've done this going back to at least the 1980s, acquiring and then divesting from some of these bottling partners. But it's really all an integrated system. And this is very common in the food business. If you start a restaurant and you want to carry Coca-Cola, you want to carry Budweiser, you want to carry food from General Mills or Kraft, you might think you want to call those companies directly and say, hey, how do I buy products from you? But you're actually going to get a hold of their distribution partner. And that distribution partner is actually going to be your salesperson. Unless you are a huge national account, Coca-Cola isn't probably going to answer that call. So it's these bottling partners that you're actually going to be working with. And they're the ones that are going to get product into stores, whether it's national stores or whether it's a small mom and pop shop. What this allows Coca-Cola to do specifically is really focus on the high margin, high return on investment piece of the business model, selling concentrates, building out that brand. That's why they have such high margins. You can see that in this chart right here. Gross margins in excess of 50%, but they do have very high operating costs. That's why net income is not as high as gross profit, because they're spending a lot of money on sales and marketing, advertising. That's Coca-Cola's responsibility. It's sort of like a franchise with a restaurant where the restaurant is not actually running ads in your local TV market. You can also see here why the company made those changes in 2017. The revenue and margins were declining for a period of years, and management wanted to turn that around, wanted to focus more on what they did best, that is building out that brand, developing products. And so 2017 is when the refranchising happens. You can see that the company's growth actually picked up over that period of time, but margins is really the thing to keep an eye on. Margins really started to turn around. Instead of declining, they have actually gone up steadily, even if you take out that outlier year in 2017. Between 2018 and the last 12 months, about a $4 billion increase in net income. So some of these strategic changes in the relationship with their bottling partners is really the reason why. That's the bigger company that's doing that. So this is the way that the business works. This is how Coca-Cola operates. Their main business is selling concentrates and syrups to their bottling partners. And then those bottling partners, whether that's in the US or anywhere else around the world, are the ones who are actually making product, putting it into bottles and cans, and then delivering it to customers. They're that last mile sales force. So this allows Coca-Cola to leverage the brand loyalty that they have and the product development that they've done. And that's ultimately why this has been such a successful company over the years, but maybe doesn't quite operate in the way that you thought. So what do you think about Coca-Cola's operations? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to Asymmetric Investing. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you here next.